This is our sales from just a couple of days last week. Hey guys, what is up? In this video, I want to show you how to solve one of the biggest problems that agency owners have and SMMA owners have, and that is how to get clients. Now, I'm not only going to go through how to get clients, but I want to show you the exact strategy that we use to get at least one client per week. Now, it's way more simple than you think, and my promise to you is that if you watch to the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do in order to get a client every single week. Now, after analyzing the last 350 clients that we've helped build businesses online, we've realized that there are really three things that you must have in order to get a new client every week. Now, these three things are so important, so fundamental that without them, you really can't scale. You need to have these things in place. And you know what? It won't actually take you that long to put them into place in your business, but you need to understand how to apply each of these steps carefully and actually think through how they relate to the niche that you've picked. Now, the reason this came about is I was having a conversation with one of our clients, Safiga. Now, Safiga is 17 years old. He was able to scale his agency to 10K per month. And he said to me, you know, it's cool that I was able to scale it to this amount, but I want it to be more consistent. I want to be able to build MRR. And really what I want, Henry, is I want a way to be able to get a new client every week. And getting a new client every week is quite important because number one, it builds momentum in the agency. So you're constantly bringing fresh blood into your business in terms of cash and a new client to work with. The second thing is it refines your delivery process. So a big mistake that a lot of agency owners make is they think I need to get my first client or second client, third client, like the best 100%, 1000% results. But the reality is the only way that you get better at client delivery is by working with more clients, because then you get a better perspective on what works across different clients on different client accounts. Now, number three is that actually the more clients that you have, the bigger agency you have, and the more mature you become as an agency owner and as a business. So there are many benefits to having a new client coming through every week. So let's unpack, how do you actually do it? So what are the three steps? Now, some of these things you've heard before, but in a way that you haven't really understood them up until this point, because there are a lot of videos out there on the internet that are saturated, that go through these concepts, but not in a way that actually makes sense and not in a way that is practical. There's a lot of high level advice out there like just do this and everything will be fine, or just do this and everything will be fine. But no one actually unpacks the nitty-gritty details that you need to know, the important details that you need to know in order to scale. And I want to give you an example. So I was talking to someone yesterday and he was saying that, everyone on YouTube says growing an SMMA is easy and it doesn't actually require work. Now, the thing is, growing an SMMA is not hard compared to being a bricklayer. It's not hard compared to working at a 9-to-5 that you hate. It's not hard studying 6 years to become a doctor, but it is hard because there's going to be a skill gap. There's going to be a skill gap between where you are and where you need to be as a good agency owner that consistently gets sales. So I'm actually going to start, instead of number one, I'm going to go to point number one last. I'm going to go to point number three first. Now, point number three is that you need to be a good closer. Now, being a good closer is not actually really about the script. It is about having a good sales process, but even more than that, it's about having confidence and it's about having poise. Now, another word for poise would be calmness. So calmness under pressure. So how do you develop that? Now, Jordan Belfort in, Way of the Wolf in his book, he talks about the fact that good closers, good salespeople really earn their money in the objection handling phase of the call. Now, you can go through a really good pitch. You can go through a really good discovery. If you guys don't know what a pitch and discovery is, I'm going to post a link below to send you guys to a sales training just to unpack what those are. But if you don't know how to objection handle, then it becomes really difficult. So what I want to do first is unpack how to objection handle, because the thing is, if you're able to close deals, not just do a good pitch or do a good sales call, actually close deals consistently, then that will bring in the revenue that you need. The first thing is you need to expect the objection. So you probably get to the end of the call, you've gone through your whole process, and someone says to you, okay, well, that sounds great, Henry. Send me an email, or just let me think about it. Now, what most people do is they say, yeah, sure. Like I'll send you an email and blah, 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 blah. Now, you don't want to do that. What you need to understand is when people say, think about it or send me an email, is they're not quite convinced yet. They're not quite convinced that this is the decision that they need to make. Now, here's where a little bit of judgment comes in. At this point in the call, you need to know, is this person really close to actually buying, or do you feel like it's a pretty far way off? Now, there's a very easy way to do that. So if you go through that whole process and they say to you, hey, let me think about it, what you want to do is this. Number one, you want to agree with the fact that they're able to objection you, right? You don't want to try and push back. You don't want to be aggressive. In fact, you want to be humorous. You want to be relaxed. You don't want this part of the call to be too intense or serious, because money stuff on calls can be a little bit, tetchy, intense. So you want to try and make the person feel calm and relaxed, and that they don't have to make any decision. There's no pressure at all. So the first thing you want to do is agree with the fact that they're able to have an objection. You say, no problem. You think about it and take all the time that you need. You then want to clarify. And the reason you want to do this is you've just spent the time outlining your service. You want to know exactly how they feel about your service. So what you want to say is something like this. Mr. Prospect, that's totally fine. Take all the time that you need. What I was going to ask though is, when you say you need to think about it, what is your thinking process right now? Like what's going on in your head? Like, what are you feeling? How do you feel about everything that I've explained? Now, they're going to say something like this. Well, I think this will work. I'm just not sure how this fits in terms of, our budget. I'm not sure if this is really the strategy that I want to go down. There's a couple of things. You want to go like this. Okay, that makes sense. Well, let's unpack that a little bit. When you say, so again, you're agreeing, that makes sense. And then you're going to clarify. So when you say that you're not sure if this fits what you're looking for right now in terms of strategy, what do you mean exactly? Now, they're going to say, I've tried Facebook ads before and it didn't really work for us. So I don't want to be in a situation again where we spent money and it didn't work. Now, what you want to do with that specific objection is actually tackle that objection directly. And so what you want to know is, okay, so Mr. Prospect, when you did do the Facebook ads, what was the issue that happened before? And then you want to dig into what the previous agency or what they actually did in terms of the Facebook ads. Now, you want to understand and go into a little bit of detail here. Now, then what you want to do is, once you've gained an understanding of what happened before, you then want to explain away why your process is different. So if you said to a prospect, hey, so you ran Facebook ads before, it didn't really work, what happened? They might say, well, the agency that we worked with before, they used a lead form and the leads were not that good quality. And, we did get leads coming through, but ultimately none of them converted. Now, this is how you explain away why your process is different. Okay, Mr. Prospect, that makes sense. So actually, I can understand why that happened, because number one, lead forms are not good quality. Now, what we do is we never use lead forms. So we use a funnel, and we actually have a very systematic follow-up process and qualification process. So before you even talk to a lead, they've gone through this process of qualification. So by the time you talk to them, they're pretty close to buying. And that's what we do with our own ads as well. And then you want to get feedback. So, does that make sense? And they might say, yeah, that makes sense. And then you can say, look, I'll even show you an example. You pan over to your screen and show them an example. And then you say, cool. So does that make sense, Mr. Prospect? And they'll say, yeah, that makes sense. And then you want to cover the other objection that they had. So if they said, I'm not sure if it's the right timing, then you want to say, okay, so when you say it's not the right timing, is that like in the context of like your business, or is that like a budget thing, or what do you mean exactly by that? Now, what I did there is I gave them multiple choice options. So this is a really clever way to uncover what the actual objection is, because it could be money, it could be trust, it could be fear. Now, trust and fear are usually two sides of the same coin. Now, if you're able to unpack the fact that it's not necessarily that they don't have the funding, but it is actually they're a bit more fearful, then what you want to do is once you understand that it's fear, then you want to try and instill confidence in them. And you want to display the fact that you're confident in your process because you've done it many times before. Now, here's a very important piece. If you don't have lots of experience and you're just starting out, what you want to try and express to your customer is the fact that you will do everything in your power to help them get that result. What you want to say is something like this: Mr. Prospect, what I want to say is that I understand that you might be feeling hesitant about this, but what I want to tell you is that we know our process works and we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that you get that result. And you know what? If you don't get that result, we have this process in place, or we have this guarantee in place, or we have this mechanism in place to make sure that you do get the result. So what I want to say to you is that I'm very confident that we can do this for you. And, based on that, what do you feel that you need to do at this point in time to put yourself in the best decision to move forward? Because you mentioned before that you really do need to make a decision on wanting to actually grow your business. We can do it, and there's no pressure at all. But what do you feel that you need to do at this point to actually grow? Now, what I did there is a few things. So the first thing is I built up their confidence. Now, you want to build up their confidence because if they look at you and they see that you're confident in your process, they're going to go, okay, I can actually borrow his confidence here. I don't feel super confident in our business. I don't know if this is going to work. They've got all these things going on in their head. What I did there also was refer back to something that they told me previously in the call. And this is why a discovery process is really important, is you want to understand their motivation for why they're doing it. And if you get them to express their motivation during the start of the call, then you can refer back to that and say, look, this is what you said. We can actually help you do it. Ultimately, it is painful sometimes to pay money. It is painful to make decisions, but big businesses, solid businesses, robust businesses are built on those decisions, right? So you're framing up their decision to move forward. Now, on top of that as well, another layer is I said there's no pressure. You don't have to do this. There's no pressure. I'm not going to force you to do anything. And that's very important because you want to make them feel calm and at ease. Now, if they feel that you're confident, if you do have some sort of risk reversal in place, which is important, and you've also told them there's no pressure, then that will get them so much closer to actually closing. Now, there's a lot of different scenarios that objection handling parts of the call can play out. And sometimes I get it wrong, but the basic point is you want to make sure that you agree with the fact that they're allowed to objection handle. You want to try and clarify what the objection handling is by asking the question either, when you say this, what do you mean? Or giving them multiple choice options. And then really understanding whether you need to pull back if they need more time. And you can tell, you don't want to listen to what they say. You want to listen and look at their tonality, look at their facial expressions. If they're going like this, I don't know, blah, 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 then they're a 7 or an 8. If they're going, nah, if they do that, then they're like a 4 or 5, they're not going to close. So it's about really being cognizant of where they're at in how they're feeling about your process. If you can practice that and do that, it works. It really does work. That's a really simple way to objection handle. And when you practice it while remaining calm or remaining confident and even using a bit of humor, because what you'll find is that when you go through the pricing stage of the call, people start to get stressed. They go, I don't know, because this is the pointy end of the call. So what you want to do is make them feel relaxed. Ask them questions like, you doing okay? It's all good. You don't have to do this. There's no pressure, etc., etc. Let's go right back to step 1. And this is the foundation and fundamental thing that you need in order to get a new client every single week. Now, that is having a product market fit offer. So I call this a PMF offer. Now, everyone talks about $100 million offers. Salute to Hormozy. He's a great guy and he's written some really good content. But really what you want to find out is what your market really cares about. What is the problem that your market is dealing with? And then if you can create an offer that clearly explains how you can solve that bleeding neck problem, then you're going to be able to sell it easily. Now, I want to give you an example. Let's say that you have a business that is struggling to retain staff, and on the flip side, they're finding it easy to actually get clients. Now, that could be, say, the med spa niche. Let's say med spa niche has really struggled to retain good staff, because if they can retain good staff, then they're able to scale. Now, if you just offer, hey, we can get you more clients, and that's not really the bleeding neck problem, they're not going to close. So what you want to do instead as an agency is maybe offer a staff retention package. Now, that is pretty different to what everyone else is offering, and that gives you an advantage, because everyone's saying, hey, we can do Facebook ads, we can do TikTok ads, we can do blah, 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 short form content, blah, 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 growth creator, blah, blah, blah. Just kidding. But if you have a solution that really matches the problem that they have, then that's going to close a lot better. Now, here's the good thing about having a PMF offer. You don't need to have like a crazy guarantee like, hey, we can help you get 100 clients in 1 week, and if you don't get it, we're going to pay you $5,000. You don't need to do that. You just need to have a real problem and then a solution that makes sense. Now, here's an easy framework that you guys can use to actually package up your offer. Now, the offer needs to consist of really 3 things. The first thing is you need to have a promise that really defines how you can solve their problem. So if their problem is staff retention, you can have a promise that says we can help you hire and retain a staff member up to 90 days, or we keep working free until you do that. Now, that's fairly low risk on your side because it's no money out of pocket. And it's also fairly low risk on their side because they know that you're committed to getting them that result, or at least working until they get there. So that is a promise. Now, the second thing is you need to have a process which compellingly explains how you do that. Now, the process is usually broken up into like 3 to 4 phases. So if you take them through 3 phases, which make sense to them, they're going to close. Now, the last piece to the offer is having an ideal client profile. Now, people talk about, ideal clients and having a really niche down offer, but really having an ideal client profile is being aware of what type of clients actually need this solution, and what is the criteria that they need to have in order to purchase this solution. So they might need to be at a certain revenue level. They might obviously need to be in a situation where they do need staff. And you also want to work with somebody who has enough capital and has enough of a system and infrastructure in their business to actually capture and retain staff. So you need to have specific criteria about who you work with. Now, on top of that too, this is like an optional step 4, is having some sort of risk reversal, which I used in this instance. If you don't get this result, we'll keep working with you until you get that result. The risk reversals need to be conditional on, some really common sense points, like clients got to work alongside your process and not change your process. Your client needs to be fast to communicate, or at least a reasonable level of efficiency and communication, and they need to be active and engaged in your process. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for you to actually deliver the result. So that is what's called a PMF offer. It's not about offering some crazy thing where you do all this stuff for this person, charge the least amount, and then, you take clients that you can't actually fulfill on. It's about, first of all, finding a bleeding neck problem, having a compelling way to explain how that works, having specific criteria of who you work with, and then overlaying that with some sort of risk reversal so it builds trust and connection, particularly when you're talking to someone across the other side of the internet. Now guys, just as a quick break in the video, if you run an SMMA or you have an agency and you're struggling to get clients, we have a crazy offer. We can actually guarantee that you'll get 10 clients working with us, or we work free. Now you're probably wondering, how can you offer such a crazy guarantee? It's because we have a proven process to do that. Now, it really comes down to a few of the things that I've actually mentioned in this video, but it comes down to the fact that we have a very bulletproof step-by-step process that shows you a clear roadmap to actually get those clients banked, cash in the bank, Stripe payment processed. And not only that, but we actually do some of the hard little nitty gritty things for you so that you're able to break past some of the roadblocks that a typical agency owner has when it comes to getting sales, and help you scale from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10 clients over the next few months. So if you're interested in getting clients in the door in the next couple of weeks, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, click the link below, book in a call with our team, and we'll chat with you and just show you how it works. Guys, so this is the last phase that I want to go through in this particular video, and I'm not going to go super detailed, but I want to outline just some fundamental things that you need with this second step. So you've got your offer, you know how to close. Now, the last thing you really need is consistent and predictable appointments. Now, the big thing with agencies is they struggle to get appointments. They need more appointments. Sometimes they're low quality appointments. Sometimes they're not getting enough appointments. So it's about getting a good amount of quality appointments on your calendar every single week. Now, most of our clients get a minimum of 5 appointments on their calendar each week. And the way they do that is through this process, which I'm going to outline shortly. Now, it really comes down to 3 to 4 things. The first thing is you need a consistent way to get the attention of your market and get them to put up their hand and say that they're interested in what you have to offer. So this means you need to find a process or mechanism to put your offer in front of the eyeballs of your ideal client, your ideal market, and get them to put up their hand. Now, what does this look like? This could be outreach, this could be paid ads, this could be content. It's often a mix of those. Now, here's the trick. There are different platforms that work better for different niches. So the game here is about finding the best platform and then finding the amount of volume that you need, and also having the right offer that gets the attention of your market. Now, I want to add a quick note here. I know there are a lot of programs that recommend cold calling. I highly suggest do not cold call. It's very inefficient. It's very draining. I think you should only really start doing like 100 to 200 cold calls just to get used to sales and to do a little bit of market research. But as a client acquisition tool, you got to ask the guys who are telling you to do the cold calls, why don't you do cold calls yourself? And the reason that they don't do cold calls is because it's very inefficient. Now, throw cold calls in the bin. There are much better approaches, and it's usually a combination of paid or and content. Now, once you've got a way to get people to put up their hand, you then need to convert those interested prospects into an appointment. Now, this is where appointment setting comes in. Now, this can be automated through tools like automations. This can be automated through an appointment setter who actually has the conversation and gets the calendar appointment booked on your calendar. Or this could be automated through a paid ads process where you have something like a self-booking funnel, or you can do this yourself where you actually have the conversation to actually place them on the calendar. Now, it's very important that you know how to do appointment setting yourself, because if you have the skill of appointment setting, then you're actually able to grow the business without relying on a contractor or relying on some process. So really the basis of appointment setting is, number one, understanding what they're looking for, and then understanding what their problem is. Once you have those two things and you build a bit of trust and connection, which is rapport in that conversation, then you ultimately just need to take them through stages until they're ready to book a call. Now, this can be done in like 5-10 minutes. It doesn't have to be this long back and forth process. You just need to know how to take them through a qualification process, understanding again their goal and what their problem is, and then get them booked in. Now, there are a lot of ways to do this. We can definitely help you out with this if you want to book the call below. That's the last promo I'm going to do for our program. But if you learn how to appointment set, then that is one of the best skills that you can have, because the more appointments you get, the more sales that you get. It is actually true that businesses that scale have a lot of appointments, right? You need to have a lot of appointments. Unless you're charging super duper high ticket, like 30K per month, you need appointments. It's just a reality of the game. Now, that is how to do it. You need to first get someone to put up their hand and say that they're interested in what you have to offer. And then you need to convert that interest into a booked call on your calendar. Now, I will say this, if you are below 5 book calls per week, you're not going to scale. You need to get at least 5 book calls, if not 10, if not 15. A lot of agency owners are literally just not getting enough appointments. So what you need to do is look at what part of this process do I need to improve? Is it about doing more? Is it about changing a part of the configuration, whether that's the offer, the niche, the volume, or the platform that I'm using? Or is it about making it better? So making the offer better and making the platform better, which I've already outlined before. All right, guys, so if you do this, if you have a really good offer, if you learn to close, and if you learn to set appointments, it's simple, but that is what will help you scale. It's not about finding a hidden secret strategy, deep down in the dungeons of Indiana Jones movies. It's not about having a fancy name like growth, combustinator, growth creator. It's not about being cute and clever. It's about doing the basics, right? This is how every business has grown. Amazon started with a really good offer. Domino's started with a really good offer. Every business started with a really good offer, and then they learned to set appointments and close them. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you watching this video. If you like it, comment, like, and remember to subscribe. Obviously, it helps the channel, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.